Let's start with Karakia. Whakataka te ho ki te uru, whakataka te ho ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki utu, kia mā taratara ki tai, I he ake ana te akakuru, he tio, he huka, he hohu, humie, huie, takie. That's cease the winds from the west, cease the winds from the south. Let the breeze blow over the land, let the breeze blow over the ocean. Let the red-tipped dawn come with sharpened air, a thought of frost, a promise of a glorious day. Join, gather, intertwine. So just to introduce myself, my name's Benita Jessup. So I'm a committee member of the NZATD South Island branch. And it's my pleasure tonight to welcome back for the third time, Karl Hartley from Epic Learning. And I think it's the first time, Alesha. Alesha Honnor from Avetta, who'll be co-presenting with Karl. Both Karl and Alesha work in learning design, and they're passionate about AI and leveraging it to improve workflows by taking a practical approach. At Epic Learning, Karl works in a flexible digital environment that leverages the best of technology to enable a new way of working with a highly competent team. And at Avetta, Alesha transforms complex ideas into engaging digital learning experiences, blending her graphic design background with educational expertise to create training that people actually want to complete. So as usual, this session promises to be highly practical, where tips and tricks will readily be shared and put into action. So for example, we've got Claude AI. This is used for creating storyboards using Canva. We've got ChatGPT, where autonomous agents that research and draft your projects overnight. NotebookLM, transforming any document into explainer videos and podcasts. ElevenLabs, bringing your training scenarios to life with realistic character voices. And Gemini's Nano banana to maintain consistent characters across your visual content. So I think it's enough said by me. So it's over to you, Karl and Alesha. Welcome.
Yeah, kia ora. Thanks for the intro. Well, welcome to the third iteration of the originally getting the most out of ChatGPT, and it's now evolved into AI in 2025, connected tools and emergent L&D workflows. The big shift here is from just trying to get everyone to think outside of just ChatGPT and looking at all the different AI tools and how they've been interconnected over the last year or so to be able to give us more options in L&D, more things have become connected, more things have come to life. I recently just started doing a project with Alesha, and we started talking, and it's like, wow, I feel like I've heard this all before, and I realized she's been coming to these meetings, and she came to last year's webinar, and she's like truly the first person I've come across in the L&D that is, I would say, hand on heart, L&D AI first more than me, I would say. She is truly the next breed of L&D coming through into the space. So I was really excited just to, Kotu to come along and co-present this and be the actual practical side of how this has been applied, where I can still live living on the edge and showing all the new stuff and where things are going. She can come and show that how this is applied in the workplace, which I think I've been missing in the previous sessions. Alesha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I think Benita did a pretty good job of it, but yeah, basically I'm a senior e-learning designer. I work at Avetta, which is a big global American company that does health and safety training predominantly, which we know is the bane of every tradie's existence who works in the mining industry or construction or everywhere else. It's awfully boring. My brother's a welder. I hear from him constantly, did you make this one? I'm like, no, definitely not. But he gets I really have a passion for trying to make things interesting, and I also have a passion for not doing things that are boring. So that's how my love for AI has come about, because it helps me do the boring stuff quickly so I can get onto the stuff I really like to do, which is making learning interesting. Yeah, I've been in L&D for 6 years. As Benita said, I have a graphic design background. I actually graduated 7-8 years ago now with a Bachelor of Media and Communication Design. And then I realized I hate being a graphic designer. I like doing the graphics, but I don't like making pointless media that just gets thrown in the bin after 2 weeks. So that's how I've come into the L&D space, because I love teaching people. So I got to kind of get the best of both worlds there, making meaningful stuff that lasts a really long time. Yeah, I'll let Karl take over about what we're covering today and all of that, and I'll jump in when things get things need my assistance.
Yeah. You'll see the Alesha parts where the slides get way more sassy than my than my slides. Today we're going to be covering. I'm going to do my patented Karl refreshes the fundamentals of AI, as I've been presenting more of these kind of get-togethers and more experience. What I've noticed is if you know the foundations, you're going to more likely make less mistakes, have less hallucinations. So I'm going to go through the beginning, all the foundational stuff again. It'll be quick, but I think it's very important that everyone's on the same level. I'm going to talk about the big shift, from just chatting to connected workflows. This is so exciting, guys. This is so cool. We're going to talk a bit more about that. A little bit about how creative workflows and assistants. This is going to be all the stuff that Alesha shows off her graphic design / AI first mentality, how they work in L&D, and then we're going to do some live demonstrations. We're going to be moving at pace, and we're assuming that if you're attending this, you're taking notes and you realize the key things that we speak about, you can use AI to follow up and get more information. You can use the recording of this, get the transcriptions, and get summaries. So we're going to be moving at pace so we can get through as much as possible. It's going to be up to you to be able to extract what that is and maybe use some AI assistance to get more out of it. I don't need to talk about what's in the slide. It's just going to be all good stuff. Next slide.
Cool. We'll skip past all this because we've already done it. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the quick recap on all the foundations. So if you go back into the webinar recordings 2 years ago, I was talking about frozen brain, where LLMs, when they're trained on basically the internet, they are frozen in time. So they have a knowledge cutoff date. You need to know that cutoff date for any LLM you're working with, because when they queried anything past that date, there's a potential for hallucinations. Ways around it, internet access now, obviously, but that is something to be aware of. Anything that you're looking at more modern, prompt and research first, and then it gets the trigger to go and make sure it knows about that. The next one, understanding working memory. So this is every AI LLM that we have has a shifting window of working memory. So that's like your short-term memory. They've gone from about 4,000 words to 1 million words, 200,000 worth of words. So the window's got a lot bigger, but they still exist. So managing your context window is still critical, but what's changed is the quality that gets put into your context window. So what you're putting in makes a dramatic difference to what you get out. So we're switching from how well can you prompt to how well can you fill that prompt with the information that your AI needs. Quick reminder that LLMs are still prediction machines. They're getting really good at being knowledge bases, but don't be fooled. I've seen lots of people fooled where they start trusting that AI has been corrected 8 times out of 10. Well, it's still 2 times out of 10 it's going to be wrong. You need to be validating. Human in the loop is where L&D is going to be living for a very long time. And finally, just a reminder around non-deterministic. When you make a prompt or make any workflow, which we're talking about today, you need to test it multiple times. AI is non-deterministic, and that's what gives the special source of creativity when you're working with it. So it is a feature, not a bug, but you need to test to make sure what you're asking for it consistently gives it in the right context. And I've already mentioned it. The big term I'm going to be using in this chat or this discussion is around context engineering. The idea we can choose what our AI ingests when it's giving us the best outcomes. And this is the thing that we'll be concentrating on, because this is what gives you the best outcomes. Next slide. I'll slow down when we get to the demo part. I'm going to go through this. Quick reminder, ChatGPT was really standalone by itself. It was just what it knew, made lots of hallucinations. Then we got 2023, we got internet access for our AIs. That means they can check what's happened recently, started curing some of that hallucination issue. 2024, we started connecting our apps to different tools. So now your AI can read your emails and your calendar appointments. You can start making what are called GPTs, which are little kind of bots that you can put information into. Cool. 2025, now AIs are directly talking to tools. You can start automating workflow chains, so multiple steps after each other, and you can start setting AI agents working in the background while you're going to do something else. Now, the tools are working directly with other tools without us even talking to it. So we can set up a project and an agent literally goes off to Canva or Notion, starts doing the work, comes back, grabs something else, works and edits something else. So they're becoming more autonomous as they go off and do the work for us. So they become more smart. So we've got a lot of more interesting things to investigate in 2026. Next slide, please. So as I've been hinting at, the big shift is connected ecosystems and automated workflows. And this is, I think, is the sweet spot for us in L&D, is, as Alesha keeps saying, if we get better with AI, we can stop playing around with the busy work and start getting to the really creative stuff, getting to know our learners more, find out who we're making this for, like really getting down our learning to our personalized part. And that piece around why Storyline articulates AI struggles is because it doesn't get to that point. It isn't connected to it doesn't have the time like an L&D person to know the audience and pull that context together. Next slide, please. So you can't build a reliable AI workflow on unreliable foundations. So garbage context in, garbage workflow out. And if you've been following Deloitte and its problems with its citing and its reports, that's the type of thing will happen if you haven't got your system set up right. You're going to start getting hallucinations and citations and made up books. Next slide. So what I'm going to discuss now is a couple of the key tools that in L&D we can use right now with whatever tool we use. The first one's internal apps that are already connected. Next. Here's a picture of Claude, which is the most unpopular AI model. But you would see something similar. We'll see that something similar with ChatGPT and the other models in Gemini is they now have connected tools that you can connect through so that they can read this. So, for example, I've got my Google Drive, my Gmail, my calendar, Canva, Figma connected to my AI. So one of my daily routines is I go and buy me, I feed the cats, feed the chickens, then I go and get me a coffee at the local cafe. At that cafe, on my way to that cafe, I instruct my AI to go and give me a daily plan. What it does is it checks my Google Drive, sees yesterday's plan, so it knows what I should have done, checks my emails, my sent emails, my calendars, to see anything that's new that's come through, any emails I've sent to confirm that I've completed some work, or whether in the Google Drive they can see that the work has been done. So then it can let me know what I've done, what I haven't done, what I should do that day, mark up how my calendar should be done. And that's all sitting for me when I sit down for my coffee when I get there. So that's the ability of giving the AI the context of my life or what I'm doing so that it can help me plan my day while I'm getting my steps in to get my coffee in the morning. An example of the connected tools that are already there. You can do that today. Next slide. The other piece I wanted to talk about is the concept of grounding your AI. And this is something I got learned from working with high school teachers. And it's a term that was being used around making it so that you can trust your AI more by grounding it with content that you know is correct. That you know that, no, this is my lesson plan, this is the information that I've researched, I know that this is correct. You can do this in a few different ways, and one of the most common ways is with projects or GMs in Gemini, where your AI can hold information, which can be text or PDFs loaded in, and it can reference that. And every conversation you have, it's referencing that first. So it's grounded, its information is grounded to what you give it. And here's an example of a small project that I use where we have the design, back.
Sorry.
In other words, we have the style guide of how we design these workbooks. So anyone that uses this chat, it is checking that style guide and giving recommendations directly against that. So it's grounded and it's giving the right information. As you can see, you can be putting anything in related to any projects that you're going to repeatedly use. So projects is a great way to ground your AI. Next slide. I guess in chat, type in me or yes, that have you tried using NotebookLM? I imagine it must be reasonably popular by how good it is. Nope. Okay. Well, I'm about to change your world, and Kat's probably going to agree with me. So NotebookLM is Google's notebook alternative where it has integrated AI. And the biggest power of this and how it's going to radically change how you use, how you ground your AI, is that you can connect it to as many as, I haven't found a limit to it, to be honest, to your Google Docs, to all your PDFs, and you all load it into this one AI. It has a huge context window, the biggest I've seen. What this enables you to do is load it up with huge documents, and then you can query it or ask questions. This is an example of the last 9 months, I've been lucky enough to be doing some research with Conco around generative AI, and I just finished, and it's about to be published, a report on generative AI and assessments in New Zealand. And part of the way I stress tested this my work and my report is by putting it in NotebookLM and challenging it with common questions that people will be asking me. And one of them is around the ethical framework that we use. So I queried it, it gave me answers, and then it gave me links to where I can confirm where those answers were in my work. That citation is the game changer. So you can ground your AI with lots of great content, and then it can tell you where it's pulling that information. Projects and gems can't do that. They're a little bit smarter around how you can manipulate them with prompts. But NotebookLM is a brilliant way to ground your information, reduce hallucinations, get better content. Next slide.
All right, this is where the sass is coming in. This is really cool, Karl. But how does this look when we want to use it practically in L&D for our day-to-day work? So some ways that I use a lot of this stuff is one, module planning efficiency. So with the projects in particular, I use Claude. You can see here that I will create a project here. I'll upload all my stuff. A lot of the time I work with SMEs or clients who literally give me research documents and say, I want this made into training. I don't want to sit there and have to read through hundreds and hundreds of PDF slides, pages around energy wheel concepts and things like that. So what I can do is I can actually upload all these files that are provided to me via the SME or via our clients and ask Claude to, based on the stuff in the project, could you please help me come up with an idea of how we could turn this into a module? I want 7-minute short modules, break it all down. What should we do? So you can see here on the side, I've asked it a question and it said, I've created module 1 based on the research you've provided. Here's a 7-minute module. And then I start reading. So this is where this little hymn comes in. It's pretty intense. It's going over a lot of things when I've just asked it to come up with a simple module. So instead of taking that at face value, I will then ask it some additional questions like, I think we need to take a step back a bit and think about it. This is someone's potentially first ever introduction to the energy wheel. What should they know? And that's how me and Claude start working, and it creates another artifact here, and we see how it could be more simple, breaks down and gets rid of some of the jargon, gives more relatable examples, and bits and pieces like that. I'm also going to speed through too because we're going to run out of time otherwise. So I'm going to jump back onto you there, Karl, unless anyone's got any questions about that.
I was actually typing. I was going, that's a really good point about highlighting that you get more out of AI when you have experience in the topic that you're working in, right? So again, that's something like storyline AI doesn't have, right? It doesn't have experience of what is expected. Next piece I want to talk about is meta prompting. Quick shout out while I'm talking, and you guys can spam the chat, is like, Do you know what meta prompting is? Do you use it? Just write in the chat. So in general, what it is getting AI's better prompting techniques to write your prompts for you. And it kind of sounds a little weird, but I've noticed from the very start is I was always a bit of a caveman prompter, very short, concise, because that's what Google taught me to be. I can just type generally what I want and Google search will find what I'm looking for, but that is terrible for AI. So quite often, if you're not getting what you want, you can get the AI to help you do that. But it even goes another step forward where you can get it to read the help files from websites, because remember, AI can read the internet now, right? So it can learn the best structure to do Midjourney, Canva, or Nano Banana kind of edits. So you can get it to research, you can ground that research in your project, and then get it to make better prompts for you. So it's not quite an automated process, but it's a way of making it so you can actually manually get the best outcomes. Next slide. Real quick example. So that's the original image. I wrote a quick prompt saying, hey, Avery, I want her doing a thumbs up. It did it, but the background was black. Where I got Claude to come up after giving it all the instructions, it wrote a hugely detailed prompt. This is only 1/5 of the size of the prompt, but it got it right. So if you want to have consistency with your prompts, AI is great at doing it. And it remembered to make sure it kept the white background, where my caveman prompt doesn't mention the background. So therefore the AI doesn't know what to do, right? So we make these assumptions. AI writing for itself does not. Next slide. These millions of different examples of meta prompting. And just think about meta prompting as the hack that can make you link to any software that you're using, whether it's generating images, whether it's actually just using ChatGPT. I've used ChatGPT to help prompt Gemini, and Gemini help prompt Claude, depending on what I'm working on, because I might have all the information in a different AI. So you can use meta prompting as a way to make connections and make some new workflows. Next slide. Okay, this is new, and I was going to do a bit more of a chat about it, but I think that's 2026. Topic is autonomous agents. So they are AI right now. When you fire them up, they create a little mini computer world for themselves. It has a computer browser, and they can go and browse, book, travel, code, and do all that work in their little online browser themselves, often their little world themselves. And then they come back and go, hey, Carl, this is what I've done. You don't know how much that tickles my neurons, thinking that I could have a little AI slave off there doing all the work that I don't want to do. And this is we can already do this. So with deep research, you can go and get it to spend 20 minutes pulling everything off the internet about a topic for you. That's exactly it. It goes off it. You can be on a different browser doing whatever you want and come back, and there's a nicely formatted report for you. These are going to get smarter as they go forward. Where it fits for L&D is we need to be smarter at organizing them, giving them the exact tasks that they need to complete with that outline we want them to complete. Probably a bit of meta prompting involved in that, but we need to be the top brain to go, hey, this is the research I want you to do on this because of this. They don't do that very well, but they can do the work, the busy work. Next slide. I took a screenshot. There's lots of cool things to do in Hamilton over Labor weekend. I can get an AI to do that for us. And here's just a screenshot. And on that screenshot on the right, you can see that that's its little computer world, right? That's its desktop. It's surfing the internet, doing searches for me to make the report. I haven't actually checked out what the final report is actually, but it's probably going to be the gardens.
Most likely.
So
another one here.
Sexy
very
slide.
interesting, Carl. But again, how can we use agents practically? All right, so this is where I've got some great news for you guys who are stuck on Copilot. So we all know Copilot's not the smartest of all the AI engines, and that's okay. He's still our friend. And we want to be able to use them in a smarter way. So what I do is I'm a big fan of Claude, not so much of ChatGPT, but I use Claude a lot. But my whole team also, I'm not expecting my team to pay out of pocket for Claude like I do. So we have Copilot enabled for our company, and anybody can use that for free. That's great. And so I wanted to think about how I could try and make Copilot smarter to help my coworkers that aren't going to be able to use the free versions of, Claude or ChatGPT or anything like that. How can I make something I already have better? So in Copilot, you have the ability to make agents. So what I have done for my team is I've made 2 agents. One's called EngageMate and the other one's called EmailMate. So EngageMate has cut down our team spending time by hours, and I mean hours when we get new requests to make training. So I work, again, for a big global company. We have clients coming out the wazoo asking us to make training health and safety related for their particular business. They send us SOPs, they send us PDFs. I want to be able to give my junior designers who don't have much experience the ability to kind of get started without me needing to handhold them the whole way. Otherwise, we just won't get enough work done. So what you can give to Copilot is, you can see here, you've got instructions. I actually worked with Claude, knowing Claude is able to look through all of my history, and I asked Claude, how do I use you to help me with creating training? And then I used that to make instructions on what I wanted the Copilot agent to do. You fill it up with all the instructions, and then at the bottom here, which you can't see, I'm under, if I can share my screen, it might be easier. Can you guys see that? Thumbs up, thumbs down, a yes or a no?
Yep, we can see it.
You can see the Copilot. Lovely, thank you. So as you can see, if we scroll down here, this is all the instructions. This is the brain of Copilot, of my Copilot agent. Everything in here is what it's going to refer to first before it tries to do anything else. You can also give it knowledge. This is the free version of Copilot that my company's enabled. We do not have any premium accounts, so anyone can do this. You can give it external websites. So I've given it things like WorkSafe, websites, OSHA, etc. I've also provided these prompts. So you can give additional instructions for very particular situations that you might have. So you can see here, I've got a few of them. And what this then does is it allows, this is the user side of it. We can pretend here that I have a SOP to Rise course. This is when I might get a PDF. We can press go, and it'll ask me to upload a PDF. If I upload that, it will then figure out how I can potentially build that into a Rise course. And then my junior designers come to me and we have a chat about it and figure out whether or not EngageMate's done a good job. Generally it has most of the time, and they're able to start building things without having me to look over everything every 5 seconds. EmailMate is our other one here. So I did a very similar thing. We were having issues with people writing emails. I've got some team members that are in Manila where English isn't their first language, so they really struggle to explain to clients what they want or what they're trying to achieve. So this one here, I uploaded it with all of our email rules and documentation, and now it's able to give us emails. So I can say, I have an alpha review email, we'll send this off. I've got instructions in it to ask who the client is, what the course name is there a review link, so all sorts of stuff like that, that my team members can answer these really easily, and it will generate them an email they can send off to the client. Of course, always bring in the human loop. Don't just trust blindly that you've got it first go. Yeah, that's just my big takeaway then. I think AI is getting really good to the point that you think sometimes, oh yeah, she'll be fine. It's not always fine.
Yeah, and that's when it gets you. That's when you get Deloitted and people.
Yeah. All right. So this is the bit after Karl's spiel of just what are some other cool things that I can do with AI tools for L&D specifically. I'm just going to go over these quickly because I want to open the floor up to you guys to ask some questions. But some big ones I have, I like to use AI all the time to create scripts. So I can give it general instructions like I want very Kiwi wording, make it sound authentic, or my target audience are builders. I want it to sound like I'm their work colleague. I don't want to sound like I'm some safety advisor who's come in from off the site that knows nothing about building. So I tend to do that to make really natural sounding video content or voiceovers a lot of the time. Some other things I find it really helpful for is SSML code. So if anybody here used to have to use AI voiceovers about 6 years ago, particularly like Amazon or Azure, some of the early ones that came out, it was a real pain if you needed to get a word pronounced properly. You know, if it's saying present instead of present, or if saying te amuru completely wrong, you know, it's saying in an American accent or something like that. The way you do SSML code is you have to go and find the phonetic alphabet and spell that word phonetically. Now that would take me either 20 minutes trying to find a dictionary, like hoping it was in a dictionary somewhere where I could pull that phonetic text, or I'd have to sit there like a 5-year-old and sound the word out and try and find the letters that worked in the phonetic library to make it sound correct. Now I can actually just ask Claude or any AI prompter really, can you tell me how to pronounce te amuru with a New Zealand Māori accent? And it will immediately do that for me. I can copy that and paste it straight into my my SSML scripts that I write for things like ElevenLabs or text-to-speech with Azure, all sorts of tools like that. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do there in terms of language processing. My other big one that I love to use is HTML prototypes for approval, not just for approval with clients, but also with my junior designers. I can get ideas out of my head really quickly and give either the customer themselves a pre-look at how I might format that content out, or I can give my junior designers a way of being able to, something that they can build from rather than just telling them that, oh, I want tabs. So here's an example of one that I had Claude make. So you can see here it's a tab interaction. It's even got some interactive sliders in it. I was able to give this to one of my junior designers who had actually just started like 2 weeks prior. And she was able to click through, copy the text out. She didn't have to think of how to format that text or anything like that. It's a lot easier than a Word document, which is what I was using in the past. And, you know, it's a lot easier for her to build and storyline from this versus how she would have had to do it in the past. And those are my little quick things there. I think we'll go into a bit of Q&A and let you guys ask some questions before we wrap up at the end, if that sounds good. Whew.
Not Q&A, but whoa, you two are impressive. That was fabulous. I'll be going back to watch the recording to review it, because some of it was a bit fast, but fabulous.
Sorry.
Thank
You can also ask me, feel free to
apologise.
reach out to me on LinkedIn as well, and I can explain how to do things a bit slower, but we're on time crunch here, so I'm also trying to get through things quickly. But if it interests you, let me know.
Yeah, and it's we really wanted to let the audience have a bit of time to share their pain, and maybe we can help solve problems that are happening right now. And what I've discovered is just giving the language for someone to be able to search within an AI to get some of the tools, it really helps in your own studies as well and trying to find out more. One piece that popped out that we should have really spoken to is Articulate Rise has just released their HTML block, which can give you custom HTML within your Rise. And it sounds kind of simple, like, oh yeah, that's cool. But AI is so good at coding HTML, you can get it to make almost anything that you want. And there's different triggers that you can do within inside that HTML block that can actually trigger to make Rise complete sections of it itself. So that's like real next level stuff, because that starts passing any interaction that you can make in Storyline 360.
Yeah.
Because the power of the HTML coding that you can do in the simulations you can do within it is pretty amazing.
I think a great example you showed me the other day, Carl, was, you know how you can, in your classic storyline, you can ask someone's name at the very beginning and it will remember it throughout the rest of the module. You can actually use that in Rise in the HTML block, asking someone their name, and then it can refer to them later on via their name, which is quite cool. Makes it a lot more immersive. If I had to choose one AI tool, what would I choose? Claude, hands down. He's my best buddy. So I'll explain that though. So Claude, he's a different model completely to ChatGPT, and the way that they've built Claude was based off of a human, and it's just made them a little bit more, in terms of L&D space, a lot easier to work with and talk to and understand how to make things for humans, in my personal experience. How about you, Carl?
Yeah, so I'm the same with Claude, as in, but for slightly different reasons. Because of my research, ethics was very important, and Anthropic, the guys that created Claude, originally part of OpenAI, but they thought OpenAI wasn't taking safety enough and ethics serious enough, so they moved off to make Claude themselves. So they made what's called a constitutional AI, and they've got all this different layers, and you guys can read up about it. But they take the ethics element of AI very seriously. It's the primary driver in every level. So it was a great spot, especially when you're working with assessments and education stuff. And it's just got a good vibe. It's such, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it is.
Can I just ask actually about Claude? Sorry, I put that question at myself. I didn't mean to be anonymous. Sorry, I didn't. That sounds like cloak and dagger stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like,
what sort of cost would it be? Because you said you pay for that yourself, do you, Alesha?
Yes.
But your team don't have it. Is it quite an expense, or?
It's really not too bad. I think what's
they're
the
all the
monthly rate? I
equivalent.
pay for it yearly.
It's around 20 US, so 30ish New Zealand dollars.
A month?
Yeah. Or I think I got a deal where I paid New Zealand, and it was about $250 New Zealand for the whole year. Annually. They also have a Teams plan as well, but I'm not, unfortunately, not at the executive table dishing out the budget. So I would love to kind of have
Epic
that in my
Learning
team.
has the team account, and
Carl has that ability.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have it, and it's not as, how do I put it? The team doesn't give that much difference, other than kind of being able to share projects, which is the shared knowledge, right? So that piece I showed you with the style guide, that's what the team will be doing to draft up some of what they're building, right? And we know it's going to be reasonably consistent because they're all coming from the same place. So that's where that comes from. But you can still hack that and just force everyone to use the same prompts. You just can't be a controlling boss.
I'll jump on to the next question. Did you have a take on the Nano banana? So yes, actually. So the example that Carl just showed with the character is actually from a project that we've been working on together at Avetta. And I found it really helpful in lots of places. The biggest one is those characters are currently designed by our motion graphic designer here at Avetta. And he does everything in Blender, and it takes him an age to make a new pose or something like that.
And it looks like Weta did it. It looks like amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. It's like Pixar level beautiful. So it's helped him out and us to be able to do things faster in that aspect of doing different poses, but also being able to do things like put safety harnesses on them for full protection, rather than him having to sit there for hours, having to somehow fashion a harness on this character that looks like a real harness, because we're going to get pulled apart by the SMEs if not.
Yeah, we should have brought that up. That is the game changer. Everyone's had the situation where the wrong PPE is being worn, but if you prompt it right, it can do a great job at making the strats in the right place, or make the glasses be back on. It's what you would have to do, say, in Photoshop, where you're doing generative film and you're just praying that it gets it right. Nano Banana is just great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I see one here for the natural language scripting process. All right, I'll try and break it down a little bit more. I didn't pull up an example, but I will. So my background is, before I worked at Avetta, I actually worked for Farmlands for about 2.5 years. We all know that Kiwi, rural, branding, very strong Kiwi language that needs to appeal to our staff and for them to understand things. So where I came across bringing in the natural language scripting particularly was around a project that was called Project Paragon, and it was all about how we're going to restock our stores in a way that made more sense according to our head office, and everybody in the stores thought we were out to end their lives because it was really complicated and they didn't understand the reason why. So what I worked really hard with in that space there with Claude was I actually found one. I wanted to use Kiwi style languaging. That was one of my prompts. Can you make this sound for a Kiwi audience that are based in New Zealand? They're in the rural community. Can we use examples that are related to farming knowledge? And can we break this down, get rid of all the jargon? I use it a lot. Get rid of all the jargon. Tell me straight up, what is this actually achieving and why should we do it? And using things like that will really help give you that more natural language and processing. And I do the same thing now in my current job. We work a lot for mining industries in Australia. So I will ask it to get rid of the jargon, break it down, act like a co-worker on the site, talk to me like I work with you, and like little bits and pieces like that. And as you're reading through, if you don't understand it, nobody else is going to understand it, right? We are the definition of sort of a target audience at that point. If an SME has given us something, then if we don't understand it, we can definitely use Claude to try and explain it better. Something my husband likes to use as a software engineer is explain it to me like a monkey. So that would explain really complex terms to you, like in the most simple way, and then you can build your way back up. So, if you want to explain complex economics, you have a banana, another monkey wants a banana, that kind of thing. You will suddenly understand something a bit easier, and that's sort of the focus there for getting that more natural sound. What have we got next? Sorry, people are voting, so we've got things shooting up and around. Have you got any examples of automating tasks by linking Copilot agents to Power Automate? I have not used Copilot too much in that sense. I do use Power Automate, and I use it for different reasons. So actually, I got Claude to teach me how to build a Power BI, and
you took that slide out. It's like
I did take that slide out, yeah. So I found a way of. I am actually technically using Copilot in Power Automate to summarize things and pull things through. But yeah, the main thing I did there with Claude and Copilot was I got Claude to write everything in DAX, and I don't even know what a DAX is, but I have a working Power BI report now that tells us all the KPIs and how we're achieving things and whatnot. So yeah, it worked pretty well there. Can I share the instructions I gave to EngageMate? Sure thing. The main things I gave to it, I'll have to describe it a little bit, but I'll pop it in the chat afterwards. But the main things I gave to my EngageMate tool was our pricing. Big thing to ask there. Focus on what each thing is. I'll pop it into the chat as well. I think it should be okay. But yeah, so we've got things in here like test the pronunciation of industry-specific terms. Our preferred
this is
platforms,
what you'll call a customized meta prompt, right?
Yes,
basically.
It is. It really is. Tone and language, you can see here, conventional, approachable, avoid corporate jargon, use plain English, sound like a knowledgeable workmate, and keep it relatable to everyday workplace situations. So there's a perfect example of where I've used the language prompting. Script formatting, clear pronunciation guides, writing style, use you instead of workers or personnel, use simple terms. I've always gotten here use UK spelling because the amount of times I've been caught out by that one, having a Z somewhere, and people get really caught up by a Z being an analyze.
And then we start working with a US company that wants Zs. And
yes,
to deal with that.
Yeah, and I have to rewire my brain. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in there like that. I'll see if I can pop that in the chat. And then the beauty of the prompts is that you can give additional rules, so it can ask your user questions in particular. I'll just scrub out our pricing. Sorry.
Yeah.
You want to answer the next one there, Carl?
What is the next one? Where is it? Have you any example? No. Any hits on best tool for create animated GIFs and videos?
I told you that would come up.
So, released 2 days ago, Claude has just released what's called skills, and these skills, these things are for its agentic background where it can make gifts for you. And it's really cool, but you need to be using Claude and no one else is using Claude. So I don't really have a preferred method around making animated GIFs, but there's tons. And if I was to go ahead and do it, I'll actually do a self-hosted version and create my own GIFs then using what's online. So yeah, I'm not really a GIFs guy. Alicia, you're a GIFs girl?
I do use a little bit of GIFs, but not as much. I see a lot of our clients are trying to use like Camtasia and whatnot to build out video modules. So I think there's a lot of potential for helping out people in that space. But yeah, I agree. It's quite funny as a media designer. I am trying to find easy ways, but every time I've tried to use AI to fix this problem for me, it's made it more difficult, and I end up going back to just doing it the old way. But one day I think it's going to be there to help out. But we are definitely using things like Nano Banana to make our assets that go into videos a lot. Yeah.
There's a question for you around the prototype.
Yes. Was it Claude I used? Yes, it is Claude that I use. So actually Claude gives it to you. I can actually show this one. I have it open. So Claude just makes you an HTML file. As long as you instruct your client, please open this in your browser. You don't need to have any special saved folder or anything like that, because it's not pulling information from anywhere else other than the HTML file itself. Sorry, I'm hiding my back button with my screen. I'm going to press it again. Sorry.
So you can do similar things in ChatGPT as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
and even Copilot, I'm sure, could do the same thing too.
All great at generating HTML. HTML is like its first language, right? Like
yes.
HTML's been around for so long. It's been trained on millions of websites, so it's really good at it. So it's a great kind of prototyping language to use. Just instructed to use HTML5 only, and not to go crazy and start using lots of Reacts and all those different pieces. Just HTML5 only, please, and you'll get whatever you want.
And you can work with it live as well before you send off that document. You go like, oh, I hate this word. You can ask them to change it all before you get there. And it's also really helpful for building some basic things like could you design me a drag and drop? That drag and drop it's going to make, you're not going to give that to your client, but it can give you an idea in your head of how it might work or how you could build it out, because again, it's using basic HTML5. It's not going to find images for you and that's going to make the background look nice. It's probably going to draw it like a 5-year-old on Paint, but it gives you a really good head start. Alrighty, back up to the top. What do we got? Natural language processing. I think we've got most of these. Can the HTML block and articulate rise allow leaders to record notes and access them later?
It's like a temporary memory, so you can get it so that they can save it to their drive as a PDF. If you make that like a certificate, you can print it as well. So I guess in theory, but it's not connected directly to the LMS. It is its own little cache within the Rise. So it's a little bit of a hack, but it's a great way to have like a real, like at the start of your Rise, you might have a reflection piece, and then you can get it to reflect and let them know what their thoughts are and see if they've changed, or even adapt the, like try and get them to react to it or whatever. So it's just an easy way to connect it instead of dealing with lots of variables with storyline, which can be a pain. I do get a question quite often as well. Oh, Alicia,
sorry. I was just going to say, I just saw that Kate's message in there about Copilot licenses. You don't have to have a license to build in a basic sense. So I'll just bring that up again really quickly. So to build a basic agent, there's usually a button here that's create an agent. The only thing that it will stop you from being able to do when you go to share it, I have to give it to my entire organization. They can see it if they were to search it up. It's really hard to find though, actually. We've found that. And the only way for my team to add it to their thing is they have to click the link, open it in Teams, and then it eventually will load up in their normal Copilot environment. But yeah, I can't actually search and find any of my other co-workers stuff that they've made. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I did not need to have any special kind of license. You can see there I've got a big upgrade now button because I don't have it.
And just so that everyone knows, Copilot is powered by OpenAI's ChatGPT. So it's kind of the same thing. They've just done their own sprinkles on top.
Yeah. Got anything else in there?
What I was going to say before, a real common question that comes to me is, why can't I just get AI to make me a presentation when I say make a presentation? here's my notes. And AI is still terrible at formatting and making stuff look good. It doesn't have a very good eye for layout. It's getting better, but every time it starts off good, it just progressively gets worse. And so, no, it can't do it at the moment. Maybe 2026, we can show you how to make a PowerPoint from scratch and it looks nice and generates great images. But at the moment, it's kind of like someone who doesn't know how to make a PowerPoint makes a PowerPoint, more or less, from 1995.
Yeah. We have found like the connector to Canva. We both, Karl and I, got really excited when it came out, and then we were a little bit let down with how it actually works. So yeah, a big part there is just it uses templates basically in Canva to populate with your material. So we actually did use it to build a lot of this presentation today, but it missed a lot of stuff and we had to go back in there and build a lot more back in. So just be aware of that when it comes to PowerPoints. I see someone here has got an information about the pronunciation process. Alrighty, I will jump in and I'll show you guys how that sort of works. For SSML, so we use Azure AI text-to-speech. If I was to ask Claude, let's jump in. Can you give me the SSML to pronounce? There's my spelling, it's going to come out, pronounce Te Awa Mutu with a Māori accent or New Zealand content or something like that. Now, if you've got if you're currently using a speech generator that has SSML as an option, so sorry, I'm just gonna let my dog out of my office. Here we go. You can see here, this all looks like scary code. On the bright side, when I started doing instructional design, this was our only way of seeing it. So I'm a bit more used to it. But you can see here that Claude has now given us SSML for pronouncing. And it gave me this one first. And this is actually it meta prompting itself without me even asking it to. We can see here, this is the original way. It's found it somewhere. And here it goes, actually, for better pronunciation, you might want to use this one instead. And then it's actually given me a breakdown of how it's trying to pronounce it so that I might know for the future, and some extra additional stuff here. So what I would do is, all I need is this bit here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to pop it into here. I'm going to jump back into my normal mode and I'm going to go, I'm from Te Awa Mutu. And we're going to jump in here. We can find that text that we said Te Awa Mutu here, and we just paste in that bit that we copied from Claude. And then if we go back into here, you'll see it's got an extra little underline. So let me just check that I'm sharing my sound. Hopefully this came out all right. Sometimes it takes a bit of prompting. We'll give it a go. Oh, we're going to have to try again. Okay, it wants to be difficult. Anyway, so what that would normally do is as we're sounding it out there, it would now replace the original pronunciation of Te Awa Mutu, which probably sounded awful because we've got someone from Great Britain trying to say it. Let's have a listen to that one.
Te Awa Mutu.
Not great. I'm just going to bring him back to standard and we'll see if we can get him to do it now. Let me just pick someone out of here. Find Natasha. She will do.
An Aussie.
I know. So you can hear the difference. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Invalid API token. I can actually ask Claude while that's not working. So I can take this
And this
exactly
is
what
why
I
we're
would
worried about
do.
live demonstration. I've done a little bit of playing with this as well, and ElevenLabs does a great job at understanding similar code when you get it to use natural language as well. So it looks like it's programmed in a similar way. This doesn't look like that. It just uses the funny word of funny
spelling.
special characters. Yeah.
Let's try this one.
If you had the choice, would you use ElevenLabs or Azure?
I wish they had a baby, if that makes sense. Because I like that I've got a lot more flexibility in Azure to make it do what I want it to do. Azure's huge with the abilities it has. But what I like, ElevenLabs has a lot more neural sounding voices.
Mm.
Doesn't want my AU token. Okay, let's try a New Zealand voice, eh? Oh, English. Anyway, you guys get the idea there. If you keep wanting for me to keep trying, we can.
I guess it's just if you try new stuff and if it doesn't work, prompt and try and figure it out. And half the time it's just knowing the right language to use for the AI to trigger its knowledge to help you out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Alrighty, we'll see if we've got any other questions in there. But yeah, eventually that would have worked if I keep playing back and forth. So yeah.
I saw
Choose one I told. I think we've already answered that one. Sorry, I haven't been clicking. We've answered as we go. Any other questions you guys have got?
I think Nano Banana should be part of anyone's design process now, I think.
Ideal grounding tool. I have two that I like to use. One is Claude Projects, obviously, and my second is I actually fact check everything that Claude says with Perplexity, which is one we haven't brought up yet. Perplexity is really great at finding online sources, but you have to be aware of it's not quite prompt injecting, but you have to be mindful of the fact that I think now 60% of all, or 60 or 70% of all research articles and whatnot are now being written via AI. They've found AI language in everything now. So you have to be aware that it's not necessarily fact checking wrong, but there's a potential that what your source is for that information might also be wrong. So Cosmonaut did a really good video on it lately on YouTube, where they brought up the fact that there was they made a fake article and they posted it, and then they found that all the AI models were then using that as a reference, even though it was fake information. So just be aware of that too.
Oh, yeah, and I had something similar happening to me when I was doing some research for my work, and I've done a pre-release report and I had read it and it was feeding back to me my own research and going, oh, this is a great idea, you can reference this, but it was actually me, right? So you can get this kind of virtuous circle where people are quoting themselves and someone else quotes them and it just goes around a loop, and then everyone's agreeing with each other because it's all the same data.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
so yeah, just things to be aware of.
Do you have any final thoughts? Because it looks like we're almost out of time.
Yes, almost out of time there, guys. But wow, that was kind of a bit whirlwindish. I feel quite exhausted.
You look tired. I'm sorry.
So much of it down. But that's the beauty, I suppose, of having this session recorded. And as Kath said, it's great. You can go back and just rewind, play it again. If you didn't get it, just rewind and play it again. And thanks, Alesha, for sort of offering that, you're quite happy for people to connect via LinkedIn and talk through stuff as well. So that's great. Thank you so much, both of you. Did you want to run through those 3 principles just quickly?
I'll let Evan go on that one there if you want. Carl?
Yeah, so let's just quickly wrap it up. I guess around the two-way intelligence is working with the AI. The more you synergize with it, the better. So don't do Carl's caveman prompts, work with it, adapt. Prompt engineering / context engineering is important to get the best results. You need to be putting good stuff in. And one of the key things you should take away is being able to identify what good looks like. And if you can find that and then you can share that vision with your AI. Your AI will help you get there. Don't let the AI decide what good is to you, because that's how you get slop. That's how you make mistakes, right? So you need to be confident as a human. I want this. Then the AI can take you there. If you let the AI take the reins, that's how you get AI slop. Avoid that.
Absolutely.
Number
Push
3,
back as much as you want.
And start thinking about connections. You can automate. So why are you doing that same dumb thing over and over and over every day when you can automate it? So you can go and get a coffee and go and look at your phone and see what your day looks like, instead of having to sit down and spend 30 minutes planning your day. Automate the boring stuff.
Yeah,
I like that. It's a good one to finish on. Okay, shall we close out with a karakia?
Thank you.
Unahia, unahia, unahia ki te uru tapu nui. Kia wātia, kia mama, te nāko, te tinana, te wairua e te aratakata. Koira e rongo, ake iria, ake ke runga. Kia tina, tina. So that's draw on the supreme sacredness, to clear, to free the heart, the body and the spirit of mankind. Rongo suspended high above us, draw together, affirm. Thanks, guys. And my final thing will be just to say we're going to be sending out a feedback survey. So it's great that Alesha and Karl have put in the time to come and do this presentation for us, and I'm sure they would love feedback on what the audience thought. So if you receive a feedback, then please take the time to fill it in, and we will pass on that information to Karl and Alesha. And again, thank you guys. Thanks for your presentation, and thank you everybody for participating.
No worries at all.
15.
All right.
Thanks for having
Bye.
us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.